Okay, so let's unpack this. We talk a lot about resilience in the world today.
Oh, all the time.
It's become like the corporate buzzword of the decade.
Yeah.
You see it on inspirational posters, in break
Oh, my
rooms.
coffee mugs,
Yeah.
usually with a nice mountain in the background.
Exactly. And the whole idea is that resilience is this clean upward line. You fall down, you get up stronger, and that's the end of the story.
It's the Hollywood montage version of getting through trauma. A couple minutes of sad music, a quick training sequence, and boom, you're better than ever.
Right. But when you actually look at the mechanics of it, what resilience looks like on a Tuesday afternoon when the house is just empty,
Ah,
it is not a buzzword. It's tangible. It's messy. And sometimes it's just triumphant in these really quiet ways.
hmm
And that's what we're doing a deep dive on today. A really personal, really powerful piece of writing from Cricket Fox on her platform, Corner Coffee with Cricket.
It's a blog post, and it's called What a Difference a Year Makes.
And the whole thing is framed around her birthday. She's turning 63 this Friday, February 6th. But, and this is where it gets really real, this is not your standard cheers to another year kind of post. The context is heavy. We are looking at a woman who is navigating the landscape of the firsts.
Right. And that's a critical concept in the psychology of grief, the firsts. That's the first full year after a major loss, where you have to face every single milestone, birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, for the first time without the person who was always there.
And for Cricket, the stakes are just incredibly high. She's marking her first birthday without her partner, Phil. And just to add another whole layer here, she's also celebrating being 1 year cancer-free.
And that's a massive cognitive load. I mean, you've got this profound absence on one side and this profound relief of your own survival on the other. Trying to navigate those two things at the same time is, oh, it's a lot.
It's total emotional whiplash.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to look at how she didn't just survive this year, but how she actively started to build a new identity. And I want to be specific. We're not talking about just staying positive. We're talking about road trips, about tribal football rivalries, artificial intelligence failing spectacularly, and even the power of a knitting circle.
It is a fascinating case study in what we'd call identity reconstruction.
So let's jump right into that landscape. Friday, February 6th, she's turning 63. She writes, "This time last year, I was getting ready to celebrate my birthday for the first time without Phil." So you mentioned the firsts. Is there a biological reason why those dates hit so hard? Or is it purely sentimental?
No, it's actually deeply neurological. Our brains love patterns. They use the calendar like a filing system for memory. So when you hit a date like a birthday, your hippocampus just automatically goes and pulls all the files from previous years. And if every single one of those memories features a person who is gone, the brain registers what's called a prediction error. It expects them to be there, they aren't, and that gap creates a very real fresh spike of cortisol and grief.
So it's a physiological shock. It's not just a sad thought.
Precisely. Every holiday becomes a kind of neurological trap.
Wow.
And that's why what Cricket did is so smart. She didn't just stay home and wait for that trap to spring.
She got in the car. And this is where Mick comes in. He's Cricket's stepson. And honestly, reading this, Mick sounds like the hero of the year. She says he took her on road trips to Manham and Talem Bend.
And did you notice the activity? Riding the ferries across the river?
Yes, a drive and a ferry ride. Simple. But here's the detail that really jumped out at me. She writes, and I'm quoting, "We took road trips to places Phil had never taken me to help me let go and create new memories."
That phrase right there, that's the crucial distinction.
But let me play devil's advocate for a second. Wouldn't it make more sense to go to the places they love together, to feel close to him? Going to new places almost feels like you're avoiding it.
It's a common thought, but from a recovery standpoint, revisiting those old shared places can actually just reinforce the pain pathways we were talking about. It keeps you stuck in that loop of, he should be here.
Ah, okay.
What Cricket and Mick were doing is something you might call topographical expansion.
Topographical expansion, what's that?
By physically moving her body into new spaces, places where there is no ghost of the past relationship, she's basically signaling to her brain that the map of her life is still getting bigger. She's literally building new neural pathways.
So it's not about deleting the old file.
Yeah.
It's about creating a brand new one.
Exactly, and you can't overstate Mick's role in this. This is what real support looks like in action. He wasn't just offering, thoughts and prayers. He was facilitating movement. There's a lot of research that says forward momentum, literally moving through space, in a car, on a ferry, it helps process emotional stagnation.
Yeah.
It gets you unstuck.
Okay, so the road trips were maybe the the gentler part of the recovery. But then we get to the loud, messy, adrenaline-fueled part.
The Adelaide Oval.
This is where we see that real battle between staying safe and actually living. So for anyone listening who doesn't follow Australian rules football or footy, the Adelaide Oval is a coliseum. It's massive. And cricket loves her team, the Adelaide Crows. But she admits she held herself back from going to games for a while. She was afraid to go by herself.
Which is a completely natural protective instinct. If you've always done something as a couple, the idea of doing it solo it's incredibly vulnerable.
But then she says something that I think is the real pivot point of this whole piece. She saw the red flag. She realized she was holding herself back. Now, usually a red flag means...
Danger, stop, don't do it.
Exactly. But she completely flipped it.
She did. She identified her own comfort zone as the actual threat. And that's a very sophisticated level of self-awareness.
That is so hard to do, though. Your gut is just screaming, stay home, it's safer, you won't feel lonely on the couch. And she had to consciously override that and say, no, that feeling is the enemy right now.
Because she understood that safety was actually atrophy. If she stopped going, her world just gets smaller and smaller, so she decides to go. And she doesn't just dip a toe in the water.
No. She goes to the showdown, Port versus the Crows. We have to paint the picture here because this leads to maybe the funniest part of the whole post. The showdown is the biggest rivalry in the league. It's not a casual game.
It is absolute high intensity.
So cricket, being a digital strategist, decides to have a little fun. She runs her blog posts through her AI producers, some kind of AI tool to analyze the text.
And this is just a perfect lesson in the limits of technology.
So the AI analyzes all the data about this massive, intense, tribal football game. And it describes the showdown as a polite afternoon tea.
A polite afternoon tea.
I laughed out loud. Cricket writes, I nearly dropped my crochet hook. She says, anyone from Adelaide knows a showdown isn't scones and jam, it's tribal warfare. It's heart-in-your-mouth white-knuckle footy.
It's hilarious, but it also brings up such a profound point.
How so?
Because data cannot capture what a sociologist like Emil Durkheim called collective effervescence.
Okay.
It's that electricity you feel when you're part of a huge crowd, all focus on the same thing. An algorithm just sees the rules people on grass, a ball, a siren, and it averages it out to a civilized gathering.
Misses the sweat, the screaming.
It misses the soul of it. Exactly. And that is what cricket was reclaiming. By making herself go to the Oval alone, she wasn't just watching a game. She was plugging herself back into that raw human energy. If she'd stayed home, she would have been living the polite afternoon tea version of her life.
And she wanted the white-knuckle version.
She needed to feel alive.
Yeah.
And you can't get that from a screen. You have to physically show up.
Speaking of showing up, let's talk about her professional pivot. Because, honestly, looking at this list of what she's doing, it's exhausting.
It's a very active recovery, that's for sure.
She didn't just go back to her old job. She totally reinvented her work life. She calls herself a digital strategist. She published her 4th book. She started a 2nd podcast, manages 3 different Instagram accounts. She's songwriting. I mean, is this manic? Or is this magic?
It looks a lot like what we call post-traumatic growth, PTG.
Unpack that a bit.
Well, we all know about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, but there's another phenomenon where after a huge crisis like cancer or losing a spouse, people don't just bounce back to who they were, they bounce forward.
Bounce forward, I like that.
The trauma shatters their old worldview, which is incredibly painful, but it also clears the deck. It gives them a chance to rebuild their identity with much more intention.
So the digital strategist title isn't just a job description. It's a declaration of who she is now.
Exactly. She even mentions the old saying, write what you know, and she says, I am a damn good writer. She's taking the raw material of her suffering and she's sublimating it into creative work. She's not just surviving her experience, she's using it as fuel.
Giving it a purpose.
Giving it a form. When you can write about it, you gain a sense of control over it.
But it's not all high-achieving go, go, go.
Yeah.
She also lets herself crash. And that brings us to the Wicked double.
The movie marathon.
Right. She says she did a double feature. The original Wicked movie and then Wicked. For good right after. And she describes the result as sobbing in a theater with 300 of my closest fellow Ozanians.
This actually connects back to the football game, believe it or not.
I mean, footy and musical theater feel like they're on opposite ends of the spectrum.
They're both what you'd call containers for big emotion.
Containers.
Yeah. Grief can be so isolating if it's just you alone in your house. But crying in a dark theater, surrounded by 300 other people who are also getting emotional, that creates a permission structure. It validates what you're feeling.
You're not the only one crying, you're just part of the audience having a collective experience.
Right. It externalizes the pain. She allowed herself that catharsis, but she did it in a communal setting. It's safer to fall apart when you're surrounded by others, even strangers.
Which brings us to maybe the ultimate safety net she talks about, the people who aren't strangers. We talked about Mick, about the crowds, but there's this quieter, maybe more powerful group here,
The charity knit ladies.
the knitters.
Mm.
She says, and I'm quoting again, "I'm grateful for my wonderful charity knit ladies. You have saved me on more than one occasion." Saved her. That is a huge statement for what looks like just a hobby group.
Well, if we look at it through that trauma lens again, it's easy to dismiss knitting, but think about the mechanics of it.
It's repetitive.
It's rhythmic, it's bilateral, you're using both hands, constantly crossing the midline of your body. There's significant research, a bit like with EMDR therapy, that suggests that kind of bilateral stimulation helps regulate the nervous system. It actually lowers cortisol. It shifts the brain out of fight or flight.
So the knitting circle is basically a biohack.
In a way, yes. It's a self-soothing mechanism that you happen to do in a group. And then you add that social layer. The sociologist Ray Oldenburg called these third places.
Right. Home is the first place, work is the second.
And the third place is where you find your community. The pub, the coffee shop,
Right.
or the knitting circle. It's a place where the stakes are low, you can just talk about yarn, but the support is incredibly high.
She mentions they answered her questions and laughed with her.
And that laughter is so key. When you're deep in grief, you can forget how to just be a person, how to just chat. These groups give you a low-stakes place to practice being human again.
And she also gives a shout out to her sisters in the hood. She writes, "You always checked in when I needed it most." And then this line, which really got me. "It is such a big help to know that there are those of us out there who get it."
Who get it? That is everything. You can have the most supportive friends in the world, but if they haven't been through something like widowhood or cancer, there's always going to be a translation gap.
Mm-hmm.
Being around people who speak the same language of your specific trauma, it just reduces the mental load. You don't have to explain why you're having a bad day on a Tuesday. They just know.
It's a safety net woven from wool and shared experience.
And if you step back, you see how all these pieces connect. Mick provides the motion, the football provides the adrenaline and vitality, the work provides the purpose, the movies provide the catharsis, and the knitters provide the grounding. It's a complete ecosystem of recovery.
It just completely blows up that idea that you just get over things with time. Time didn't do this.
Yeah.
She did this. She built this whole system, piece by piece.
Exactly right. Resilience isn't some trait you're born with. It's a structure you build. And Cricket spent her 62nd year building a fortress of new habits, new places, and new identities.
So when you look at this snapshot of her turning 63, it's so different from what that AI might predict 63 looks like. It's not about slowing down. It's digital strategy and tribal warfare at the footy and crying in public and driving onto ferries.
It's an expansion, and I think that's the most hopeful part of this whole piece. It proves that even after major subtraction, losing a partner, losing your health, you can still have addition.
So let's zoom out. What's the big takeaway here for someone listening who maybe isn't a 63-year-old widow, but is just feeling stuck?
For me, it all comes back to that polite afternoon tea versus tribal warfare.
The AI failure.
Right. We all have that AI in our heads, a
Mhm.
brain that's designed to keep us safe, to minimize risk, and that brain will look at a scary new thing, going somewhere alone, starting a new project, and it will try to talk you out of it. It will tell you to stay home where it's polite and predictable.
It wants you to choose the tea party.
Always. But the juice of life, the thing that actually heals us and moves us forward, is the tribal warfare. It's the white-knuckle experience.
You have to learn to override that red flag.
You have to recognize that the red flag might just be your fear of growth. I mean, Cricket had every excuse in the book to stay on the couch. But the engine of her change was the physical act of showing up. You cannot think your way into a new life. You have to walk into it.
That's a powerful thought. The action has to come before the feeling.
Always. She felt the fear about going to the football game. She went anyway, and then she felt the joy. If she'd waited to feel the joy before she left the house, she'd still be on the couch.
So I guess that's the challenge we want to leave you with today. We've seen how Cricket navigated her year of firsts by just refusing to let her world get smaller. So ask yourself, where in your own life are you accepting the polite afternoon tea description?
Where are you letting the data or the fear just bore you into staying put?
Where are you missing out on that heart in your mouth intensity? Because you're listening to that red flag that's really just your comfort zone talking.
Go find your white knuckle moment. Go to the stadium.
Even if you have to go alone. That seems to be the trick. Thanks for diving deep with us today. This was a really special one.
It really was. Take care.